What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Red Feather, and it's that time again. And first off, welcome back to episode 2. Starting episode 2 of the Hanger Review series. And we've got ourselves 3 contestants, for episode 1. We're going to be seeing who has the best hanger of them all. And to go ahead and clarify, yes, I do accept people who already competed in a previous episode. Like, for example, Hydro/Thoracic Trickster was already in episode 1. I'm allowed to have him. He's allowed to participate again in another episode. He's not in episode 2. Go ahead and get that out of the way, because I do allow this to have players evolve their hanger and add some changes. And I'm certainly excited to see. So anyway, hope you guys liked it. And before we get into it, just like the episode 1, I will be rating their hangers on a scale of 1 through 10, and listing at the hanger's strengths, and a bit of their weaknesses. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, to begin, we have ourselves a special guest. We have Weasel, hope I'm saying his name, Weasel 11 from the Bucket Brigade, and if I know correctly, this is actually Rust Bucket himself. You got the Swarm Slayer title. I certainly am a fan of it. I was so close to getting my hands on this title, but I was like 1,000 points off from the Pathfinder task before I lost it. So let's have a look. Oh, we have ourselves a good start. Actually, I'm going to start with Hanger 1. So let's go ahead and start with Hanger 1. This has a Rook, Skyro, Freedom Skyros, Curie, Siren, Ancient Tier, and a Mender. First off, the Ancient Tier, this is probably one of the rarest special editions in the game. I would look forward to getting my hands on one if I could, but that's if I can find one on the offers. So starting with the Rook, maxed out, it's good. Two Kistons and a Stellar Veyron. I'm whether to think if this is supposed to be a storage hanger, because I do think having your main hanger just be the first one instead of something like 2 and 3, but that's just my personal opinion. But yeah, this is a bit of a strange setup for your Rook, but you do what you need to do. And your Skyros with the Sonic setup, really love the Sonic weapons. That mostly doesn't include the Howler and Screamer. Won't want to get me 4 Howlers for my Nether. Do you think it looks good? The Curie with the fusion of the Freedom Hammer and a Subduer. Subduer's been nerfed. I will go ahead and say I am not touching those things. I know they're still somewhat okay, but they're not on my book. And the Hammer is a good choice. Siren with the Decay and Blight. That's pretty good, but I don't think the radiation weapons deserve the nerf. But I think that's alright. The Ancient Tier with the Hazard and Cryptic Hazard, and Sheriff Magnetar. I do see what you're going by, but it's not usually the top build in my priority. It's whatever. And then a Mender with the Tamer, Deceiver, and Frozen Tamer. I honestly will say, I think of the 3, the Subduer is probably the one that actually works the best. The others are just, Deceiver and Trickster are like a big fat no. If you're gonna run those weapons, you consider yourself insane. But I at least appreciate the Frozen Tamer. Wish I had my time on. This is a storage hanger from what it looks like, I at least think, but I'm going to give it about a 7 out of 10. So let's move on to the second one. Alright, now this definitely looks like it's his main hanger because I saw this one during his stream yesterday. Now, Scavenger Heimdall, Raptor, Deathwing Arjun, Bagliore, Technoscorpion, and an Ivory Ravana. I do think this hanger looks pretty strong. Now, the Heimdall is a bit of a highlight for me since this thing got crazy how it got 5 buffs in one update with 4 maxed out Evoras. Now, I'll go ahead and say it here that if I ever, because I'm slowly losing my skill at the Luchador, So if there's any Titan to replace it, other than an Ultimate Elming with Vindicatores, it's definitely this Heimdall build. You know, classic Raptor build with the Aramis and Athos. Now, I will at least give him props for even using it. I'm fine with him using it, but for me personally, I hate the Raptor with a burning passion. The Condor might take the crown though, but the Condor is just frustrating to fight. The Raptor is just kind of annoying. The Deathwing Outgen with the Subduers, I will say, real risky using the regular Outgen and not the ultimate one. But I'm pretty sure I don't know if you even have one, but I would agree the Deathwing Outgen looks a lot cooler in terms of its design than the ultimate. But it's alright. Bagliore with futuristic nucleons. Now I saw this setup in your stream, and I think it's a very powerful one. I definitely know it's slightly on par with maybe Glaciers and Athos. That's kind of my opinion, but I do think Nucleon's another good setup. And you even got Adrian Chung as the pilot. Techno Scorpion with the Ice Rockets. Big fan. Love the Ice Rockets. Very happy with their buffs. It's what they deserved it more than any weapon in the game. And like I kind of said, the Death Mark is an odd choice for your active module, but that's not my biggest complaint. And I do think my favorite part is that you're using Iskra as the pilot. Now, I find her a pretty underappreciated pilot, especially with even though the Shenlu has kind of replaced the Scorpion as the main teleporter, but we all know what happened to the Shenlu. I might do a video on that, but in short, the Shenlu is not as good as it used to. And finally, the Ivor Ravana with the Porthos. When I first saw someone run this in a game a while back, I thought the Porthos were going to perfectly bring the Ravana back to life. And I do think Pixonic just somehow secretly nerfs it from time to time. But it's a really good robot. Yeah, I think this definitely looks like its main hanger. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. And I do think it's a tie between the Bagliard, Scorpion, or the Heimdall as the main highlight of its hanger. And if you already guessed by now, the reason it's not a 10 out of 10 is simply because of his outgen. I think the outgen's the weak point in his hanger. But either way, this hanger looks freaking great. And pretty terrifying. I do love the Scorpion because the Ice Rockets deserve way more attention. His last hanger, look at that solid Jaeger with the solid Gauss. I've got me one myself actually. I want to try and use it, especially after the buff it got. Buffs, I don't remember. You got Baihu Luchador, Frozen Dragon, Pathfinder, Unknown Achikachi, and an Ultimate Invader. I kind of find someone with an Ultimate Invader a kind of a flex on me, personally, since I wanted to get one for the longest time, but I failed to. Either because I couldn't get myself the data pads, or just flat out was unlucky. But starting with the Luchador, with the level 3, maxed out Gargantua and 2 level 1 Pantagruels. Now, yeah, I definitely think this is a storage hanger. Frozen Dragon with the Ardent Spears. That's alright. Frozen Dragon is just beautiful looking, I'll say. Solid Jaeger, I already just gave my words out for it. Really underappreciated special edition. And gosh, I wish it was way better than it used to. Like, why do I like such pathetically weak robots at times? Or just weak robots in general. Like, I like the Fafnir. The Phantom is pretty much because of its buffs. Pathfinder with the Chione. Classic setup. Pathfinder, really underrated. You see a Pathfinder on the battlefield. If you see a Pathfinder on the enemy team, you need to kill it quick. Like, I experienced that in the game today with Ultimate Ions, and it just shredded our team. Unknown Achikachi with the Sonics. Interesting, a level 10 Fatal Havoc is the highest. But whatever. The Achikachi really slowly fallen off, but it's still okay. I didn't want to run one for the longest time, but that's because I wanted to make it fair. The Mark III Ultimate Invader, interesting he's not running it, but I can kind of see why. Like, I would definitely recommend replacing your Hydrant with the Ultimate Invader, but that's if you're not comfortable running it. With Ivory, Atomizer, and 2 Ultimate Punisher Ts. Ultimate Invader just looks super cool. And also, it just is really tanky for some reason. It's pretty shocking. But anyway, I would give this, for being a storage hanger, I would give it about I would say just by average a 5 out of 10. I do think the Ultimate Invader is the highlight, even though it's a storage hanger. Solid Jaeger would take that title because I think it looks really cool, but it's not worth running as of now. Anyways, hanger looks all of them look good, and I definitely think this is main, like I said. Anyway, for all of them in general, I would say about an 8.5 out of 10. And let's go ahead and move on with the next one. Alright, now we have ourselves another member of the Rust Bucket setup. And I'm pretty sure this is from what Rust Bucket told me, that HalfOfANickel is the son and Weasel is the main father. Which I certainly find that Rust Bucket one of the best Warbots creators in terms of how they're doing it. Like a father-son Warbots YouTube setup. Jeez, I almost lost my words there. I think that's just so fun. Yeah, Master 1. Let's have... Baihu Luchador, an Achikachi, a Revenant. Automatically love the Revenant. Really underrated. Mender, Typhon, and Siren. So let's go ahead and see what we got here. So the Baihu Luchador, almost maxed out. The Pyro with Pyros, and Kraken Mahavajra. Now, I do think the setup itself is alright, but the one drawback, I think the weapon levels are a little too low. Like, it's like G-Man once said to most of his players when he looked at hangers, like, you gotta get those weapon levels up. They're the top priority. That's all. But I do think the Luchador itself is fine. Just, please get those weapon levels up. Achikachi with the classic setup, with one of the Shires being an unknown. Like I said with Weasel's Acho, it's fallen off a bit, especially with how it got nerfed again, which is kind of ridiculous. But I think the Achikachi is just fine. Especially the weapons really hit hard. And a Revenant with the Tesla guns. I was gonna run this setup myself, but because I already marked to the hammer and cudgels first, that's the setup I'm definitively using. I do plan in the future, if I can get lucky, I can get me an Ultimate Avenger and 2 Ultimate Blazes. I asked my friends about that for a setup for the Revenant, and they said that would be almost perfect. Yeah, Revenant, big fan. Mender with the Aramis and Porthos. The Mender, I don't know. The Mender is a bit of an interesting one for me. I know the Mender is like the immortal robot, but with so many weapons in the game that have like a ridiculous damage output, like the Tesla guns, for example, the Reapers, if so, just all that. I do think the Mender is slightly a little harder to use nowadays, but you do have the Pilot, which I think is great, and then the Typhon with Laming. I don't know. I don't know if this is a good setup. Hang on, what does your Pilot have? So, oh, it's a Ghost Typhon! Alright, I was genuinely about to say, like, I feel like this setup will not work for a Typhon. But then I look at the Pilot and I see that it's got the Ghost skill, and I kind of now take it back. I do think this is a very cool, ideal setup. It's not the one setup I think works the best, but I definitely know it's a good contender. And you even have, I don't know why you have Jump Unit as your module, but if this Typhon works for you, then you go for it. I don't know, and probably the stupidest thing here to me is you have a Last Stand and a maxed out Shy. I don't know why you have both a Last Stand and a maxed out Shy, because both of them are kind of the same thing, but definitely the one thing I would say that's bad for your Typhon is just replace the Last Stand with something else, because you already got a Shy drone that's maxed out, and a max Shy gives you the Last Stand either way. And then lastly is the Siren with the Morona and Jotun. I do genuinely think that this would have been the best build for the Siren when these weapons came out, especially when I tried them for myself when I got my hands on them, and because I was building a Siren an update after they came out, and I tried them. They were really good, but I just didn't want to bother leveling the Siren. But I do think it's really good. Overall, I think this hanger is getting and I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. It's it's better than average, but I do think this hanger is strong. Definitely the weak point, I would say, is definitely the weapon levels on your luchador, and a bit on the mender side. The mender is just a little harder to use nowadays. But I do think the highlight's the Revenant because I love it so much. I'm honestly just kidding. I'm just kidding. The Revenant would be the highlight, but I do think your idea of the Typhon being very interesting. Let's move on. All right, we got a Bugatti Shurang. Gosh dang, a Shuranga, Scorpion, Kurlarochi, Lynx, Unknown Seraph, and an Angler. Now, I definitely think this is storage hanger, especially with the mixing here. So let's go ahead and start with the Shuranga, a little almost maxed out with 3 level 10 Stellar Vayrons. Like with the Luchador, weapon levels have to be first. But I'm pretty sure because this is a storage hanger, I could at least let it stay. And Sonic Scorpion, like the Sonics, I want to get around to getting probably want to bring a robot out and put my Sonics on as well. Scorpion's alright. Kurlarochi with the Cruel Talon. In terms of theme, I think they work perfectly. Like, they're both the same special edition, and they work together. And plus, this was my Orochi setup when the Clawjaw and Talon were at their peak. But I swear, these weapons need to get their a somewhat small fire rate buff. Like, their damage output is good, but it's just the fire rate that kills them. I was even thinking about running the jaw and claw on my emoji for a video, but I'm not that crazy. And then Mark II links with Cryptic Redeemer. This is a good setup, but I don't know if I'm still a little on the side if the Lynx nerf actually killed it or not. That could just be me though. Overall, Lynx is a good robot. Unknown Seraph with Unknown Decay, classic setup. Seraph, I do think, needs to get a slight buff to its force field. Like, the Seraph would be a killer robot if its force field just was a little stronger. And heck, I would even wonder if Pixonic would change the special edition design of the Seraph and the Decay to sort of match the Unknown Achikachi, since they're both the same special edition name, but different designs. I definitely know Pixonic won't ever do that, but think about it. An alien-looking Seraph and Decay would be so cool. And then finally is the Angler with the Needle and Stake. This was definitely the best build, one of the top builds for the Angler during the time, but they got nerfed, so... Storage hanger, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10, just like I did with Weasel, if I remember right. And last one, Scarab Leech. I was gonna go ahead and praise you for having a Scarab Leech, but then I see these weapons, and if you guys remember that short I posted a while back, you know how I feel about these weapons. These weapons, along with the Dune, never should have been in the game. They should straight up... Warbots would be slightly better if these camping weapons did not exist. So continue. We obviously had the Leech, Sirius, Raptor, Erebus, a regular Jaeger, and a Skyros. So the Sirius 66 with no weapons. This definitely looks like another storage Scarab Leech with the Hurricanes. I like the Leech, but I hate the weapons. The classic Raptor setup. Interesting how you're not using it, but I mean, you run what you want. I'm not one to force you to run it. The Erebus with the Stellar Prismas. The Prismas look really cool, but I've always found it weird how Pixonic gave the Stellar Prisma their special edition a while after they came out, yet they didn't give the Erebus the same treatment. Like, could you imagine a Stellar Erebus? Like, just etch that into your head, and it would match the Stoic Prismas. Especially how, if I know right, the Prismas came out with the Erebus in the same update. And the Jaeger with Gauss. Again, I can pretty much say the same thing with the Solid Jaeger from Wiesel. Wish the Jaeger was better, but I do think the original one isn't as. While I do think the original design isn't as cool as the solid one, it's definitely not the worst. And then a Skyros with no weapons with a jump unit. All right, I'm gonna give this hanger. I'm sadly giving this one a 4 out of 10. It would be a 5 out of 10, but if you already saw my reaction. The reason I'm not giving a 5 out of 10 is because of the hurricanes on your leech. If you had any other weapon, like if you had Molat T's on this Scarab Leech, my opinion would still be a 5 out of 10. But because I've seen the hurricanes, which I hate, it's the reason why. Overall, I think this Nickel's hangers are pretty good. The Revenant is just a really good robot. I gotta stop saying that. But either way, all of it is going to slightly be dragged down with the bad score of your third hanger. Again, only that low because it's a storage hanger and it's the hurricanes. But I'm gonna overall give it all a 6 out of 10. And let's go ahead and move on to the final contender. And finally, we have ourselves Death Trooper, the final contestant of the video. He's got the rare detective title. Let's see what we have. Yep, like always, he's got his iconic Leo with the shotguns. I really need a level on Leo for myself. Like, I really want to try a Leo duo with him, but that does sound like slightly risky. But I do think the Leo is the automatic highlight of his hanger. He's got Luchador. Baihu Luchador, sorry, Nor, Shenlu, Bagliore, Raptor, and a Condor. So to go ahead and get things out of the way, Baihu Luchador with the Mauler, the Anguisher, and Ruiners, definitely the strongest Luchador setup you can have. I need to get my hands on another Ruiner, but I'm already wanting to swap my Titan out. Definitely a good Titan, Nor Shenlu with the Fangbao and Ultimate Igniters. A pretty interesting combo, but it's definitely not the worst. And Shenlu, I'm pretty shocked that you're even using it, but if you're able to make these weapons work on it, you go for it. And you even have a cloaking unit, which is now going to be renamed to Disguise Unit with the specializations change next update, which I think is kind of stupid. The Glacier Bagliore, beautiful build right here. I've already said it a couple times that I really need to get my hands on one of these robots so badly, because I got me 4 Glaciers I want to put on it. 2 of them I need to get to higher level than level 1, but however, Bagliore is really great. The Leo, I already said what I need to. Mark III Raptor with the Mark II Aramis and Ultimate Calamity. I do think the Ultimate Calamity is an okay choice, especially that its damage gets higher at the closer you are to your enemy. But I do think the Raptor itself is fine, even though I really hate it with a burning passion. And then the Condor, that's about to take the title of my least favorite robot in the game. I really need to do a video on that soon. Mark II Condor with Eldritch Blight and a Screamer. The Screamer is clearly the automatic choice for this, but the Blights, I actually don't know. The Blights are fine, but they're currently nerfed, so that really brings out some mild opinions here. Let's go into the... I don't know if this is storage hanger. These are all storage hangers, but that's just my guess. We have a Luchador, Gothic Mars, Unknown Seraph, Orochi, Ultimate District, and a Frozen Dragon. So starting with the Luchador, a maxed out regular Luchador, he has a maxed out Baihu Luchador, so he's got 2 of them, with Kraken Vajra and an Inferno. Essentially a reverse setup from Nickel's Luchador, but you do good. So Gothic Mars with the Gothic Fainters, the classic setup, and the Mars really did not deserve the nerfs it got. Like, it was not necessary. Like, the Mars itself was fine after it got nerfed once, but then add on the second nerf, that's just silly. Unknown says the Arden Hawanji. I definitely think this is a robot for PvE, because this is like the best, I'm pretty sure is the best setup for extermination. The hunting ground, or hunting grounds, depending who you're talking to, but I call it hunting grounds because that's how it's been when it first came out. There's an Orochi with the boombox devastators. The Orochi really needs to come back to life. Like, it's an anniversary robot, and I usually picture the anniversary robots to be more than special. And the Orochi is kind of like that. Like, the Orochi was like the Lynx before it was cool. And the Orochi is good. And then Ultimate Tester with Ultimate Punisher T and Ultimate Orkin. I do find you need to make better use of these weapons other than your Ultimate Tester, but I'm not the biggest person to judge. And you got Adrian Chong as the pilot. Frozen Dragon with a mix of 2 Shifangs and 4 Eldritch Blights. I'm sort of thinking that you used to have 2 Eldritch Blights on here, but then you moved those onto your Condor. If Death, if you're watching this, you can tell me if I was right about that. That these 2 Blights were put on the Condor and they used to be on the Dagon. That's just a theory. And then hang on 3. We have this is definitely a sword. We got Newton, Ardent Blitz, Retro Crisis, Scavenger Griffin, Nether, and a Seraph. So we got the Newton with the Tumultus, Discordia, and Fulgur, clearly missing a weapon. With the Ardent Blitz with Ardentasia, another robot that looks like it's for the hunting grounds. It's pretty decent. I do think the Ardentasias match the Ardent Blitz very well. I want to get around to bringing out my Ardent Blitz and use it. The Retro Crisis with the Retro Reaper, the classic setup. Scavenger Griffin Mark III, probably the rare, like I said in episode 1, I'm pretty sure this has been in his hangars since episode 1. Probably one of the rarest special editions in the entire game. Hands down. Fight me. Yeah, with the Tulumbas and Punishers, probably most likely to show it off. The Nether with the Spears, 3 of them Ardent and a regular. I wanted the Nether, really want the Nether to come back to life. Like, this thing got nerfed way harder than it needed to. Like, the force field is so frail that it might as well just not have it. And, like, I'm pretty sure there was someone, you just watch back my Nether video and you'll see why. Finally, the regular Seraph with the Cryptic Redeemer. That's alright. The final hanger got a Rook, Curie, Dagon, Shenlu, Pathfinder, and an unknown Achikachi. There's a maxed out Rook with a single Vindicatore. Alright. Probably just another storage hanger from what it looks like. The Curie with the boot with the Devastators. It's kind of like as a Orochi from Hanger 2. Like Sonics, I think the Devastators do very good on the Curie. Dagon with the Tamer, Trickster, and Punishers. Odd mix, but since this is what looks like a storage hanger, I'm not that big of a complaint. The Sonic Shenlu is super nice build, and even the same one as my Shenlu that I used before it was nerfed. Like, this was my de facto Shenlu setup, and it's honestly kind of coincidental. Actually, it's not, that you've got the same setup as mine. Pathfinder with a Cryptic Hazard and 2 Ultimate Pulsars, sorry. I almost completely said something different. I do think the Pulsar is the weakest of the ultimate weapons, if I remember right. But you can make them work on the right robot. But I do think they're slightly pointless on the Pathfinder, especially if you have, just regardless of the pilot you have, because the Pathfinder ability can already, like, lock down on enemies. So that's what. An unknown Achikachi with the unknown shotguns. Like I said multiple times with the Acho, it's just fine. I forgot the records. For the scores. For this hanger, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. The same with hanger 3. But I'm going to bump it to a 7 out of 10, specifically with the Nether and the Griffin. And then this one, it's going to be a 6 out of 10. simply just because. And then the main hanger, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. With definitely the reason I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 is pretty much the Shenlu. I would call the Leo the weakest in your hanger, but I mean, you're a Death Trooper. You've had this thing for a long time, and you've made it work. It's just the Shenlu is just not as strong as it used to be. Overall, everything, I'm going to give it all, just like the main hanger, it's going to be an 8 out of 10 overall. And I think that's going to be pretty good. That's just what I've got to say. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I think that wraps it up for episode 2 of my hanger review series. Now, I will go ahead and say that of the 3 we have, I know this might be controversial, but I think Death Trooper still has the best hanger as of now. I mean, Weasel and Nickel, both of them had some good hangers, but Death Trooper automatically took the highlight. Weasel would take it. No, not Weasel. Nickel would have taken it because of the Revenant, but I felt like just giving Nickel the top spot just because of one of my favorite robots, I feel like would be unfair. But anyways, that's gonna do it. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and a big thank you to these 3. Their channels will be linked in the description as always. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.